that supposed to mean?
Just then, the floor opened up, sending the 3 students down into darkness, screaming. Ah! Nova's cloak turned into 2 large black wings as she glided down.
Ren, Briar, are you okay? Where are you?
She found herself floating down a smaller tunnel alone. As she reached the bottom of the pit, the tunnel curved and she found herself in a room with a single stone doorway carved with shapes in front of her. On the wall, she noticed a mural of intricate designs.
I guess I'm on my own for this one.
Nova put the hand into her pack, dusted herself off, and stepped towards the stone door.
Long ago, the world was at war. But then the 10 dragons arrived and changed everything. They brought peace to the world and gave us the gift of magic. Those who can use that magic are called sorcerers. But that is about to change. My name is Nova, and this is the story of how I became the first Warlock.
Warlock, Episode 14, Nova's Trial.
Dusting herself off, Nova gathered her wits as she found herself at the bottom of the tunnel trap alone. Nothing but silence from where she fell. She hoped for a moment that her friends would fall through and join her, but she remained alone.
Well, I can't just wait around. I'll just have to keep going forward. Oh, hey, look, a door! This'll be easy. Maybe. I hope.
Nova approached the stone door in front of her, noticing the surface had shapes intricately carved into it. Several stars with varying amounts of points on each of them. As she examined the door's frame, she noticed a message in common. Once she read it in her mind, a voice echoed through the chamber, speaking it aloud.
Set your mind upon flight and sail through endless night.
Well, that's gotta be important. And it sounds kind of exciting, right? Okay. I don't see a handle, so there's gotta be some other way to open this door. Let's see. Endless night. Well, that has to be a clue. I wonder.
As she traced her hands around one of the stars, she was able to feel a pressable button. As she carefully pressed the button, the door began to rumble, and with a low, dull, grinding sound, the door lifted. Before her, Nova saw an endless expanse of stars.
Oh, wow!
A short walkway extended in front of her, with an object set atop a pedestal at the end. As she stepped in, it felt to her that she had taken a step into space itself. As she looked across the void of the astral expanse, she saw a closed door, but no means of reaching it. She carefully made her way along the walkway.
Really? No handrail?
Suddenly, a mote of light shot above her, as if a shooting star traced its way across the sky.
Okay. What would Zarian tell you to do? What would your friends tell you to think? Go to the pedestal. Okay. Careful, Nova.
The words, "set your mind on flight," echoed in her mind as she finally reached the object, which revealed itself to be an ornate basket made of gems woven together with what appeared to be pure strands of light. As she approached, the same voice echoed in her mind.
Snatch us from the boundless dome. Return us to our rightful home.
Okay. So that feels like maybe these shooting stars need to go back to this basket. Maybe that's their home.
Nova closed her eyes and activated her Elder Sight.
Elder Sight.
She began to look around the room, almost overwhelmed with how beautiful the starscape truly was. The longer she looked, the more she realized something about the stars themselves.
Oh, the constellations. I know these. There's the warrior and the serpent and the night raven. Wait, but they're each missing a star.
Nova's eyes glanced at the basket, then at the shooting stars above her. She hesitated for a moment, then picked it up. As she got a closer look at it, she remained in awe of how beautiful it truly was. She reached her hand into the sky as a star soared above her. But they were out of reach.
What did that voice say again?
The voice echoed once again.
Set your mind upon flight and sail through endless night.
Okay. Yeah. Set your mind upon flight.
A shooting star began moving closer to her, as it had done time and time again. She closed her eyes, took a deep breath, and said to herself,
It's gonna be great. It's going to be fine. It's gonna work.
As she thought about moving towards the star, imagining her body as light as air, her body began to move on its own off the platform, floating in the air.
Oh, it worked! Oh, okay. Now, that first star.
As the star moved closer and closer, she quickly moved through the air in its trajectory. As she reached out with the basket, the star seemed drawn to it like a magnet, as it gently found its place inside.
Oh, I did it! Okay. Whew. Okay, Nova, remember, there's a plan. We have things to do.
She hovered towards one of the constellations, and as she got closer and closer, the star in her possession began to vibrate more and more, almost as if excited to be near the others.
Whew. Okay, so I know things are really magical right now, but I feel like I shouldn't touch a star, right? That's like fire.
She shook the basket in the direction of the constellation, and the brilliantly gleaming star shot out, finding its home in the missing space, burning brightly before settling into its home and softening to a twinkle.
1 down, 2 to go.
Nova, now more confident in what she had to do, deftly found her way around the room, catching the remaining stars and placing them in their respective places. As she completed the last of the constellation, the door opened.
Yes! See, there was no reason to be afraid, Nova.
Nova felt a profound sense of wonder as she floated towards the door, her feelings of pride beaming almost as brightly as the stars around her. As she crossed the threshold into the next room, she glided to her feet, and the stone door closed behind her. She was met with yet another stone hallway, similar to the first, with intricate carvings on the wall, and a second door with designs.
Whew. Wow, that was amazing. Oh, okay. Another door. What does this one say?
The task is clear. The path is not.
Well, that feels ominous.
As she inspected the door, she noticed the carvings formed waves and swirling water, her fingers tracing the shapes again until she found the switch to open the door. As the door slid open to reveal a room shaped like a sphere, with 3 large spheres of water attached magically to the wall. One to the left, one to the right, and one above the door on the other end of the room.
Oh, wow. Those are really big.
She began walking towards them, and as she got closer, she was able to spot a medium-sized shark swimming inside the sphere on the left. On the wall inside, there was a lever visible. On the right, several small jellyfish, glowing blue, guarding another lever. In the middle sphere, however, she could only see swirling darkness inside the sphere of water.
Well, it sure is true that the task is clear, but I was not expecting to see a shark today. I need to get a closer look. That one above the door might be tricky to reach, and no way I can get to those levers without going inside them.
Nova began nervously talking to herself as she slowly walked to the sphere on the left.
I feel like that shark is gonna try to eat me. Jellyfish can hurt you on accident if you run into one, but also sharks aren't as dangerous as people think, and it might be as scared of being in a new space, you know? Like maybe the shark is a friend.
As she approached, the shark took notice of Nova and began prowling the section of water closest to her. Nova immediately zoomed back to the center of the room.
That shark is not a friend. Okay, let me try this again. Elder Sight.
She began to look around the space and was able to see magic, almost as auras, around the 3 spheres, with a small amount of magic just barely in sight deep inside the dark water above.
Okay, that wasn't nearly as helpful as I thought it would be. Let me try something else. Mage Hand.
Her dark, spectral mage hand appeared, and she guided it toward the lever inside the sphere. But as she gripped it, she found her hand unable to pull it down.
Well, I thought it was a good idea. Would the sphere pop if I hit it with magic? I should try the jellyfish one. I think I could probably dodge them a little easier. Okay, move out of the way, little guys. I don't want to hit you. Sacred flame!
Aiming at the lever, it was surrounded by a searing heat, boiling the water around it for a brief moment. But it remained unmoved.
All right, time to try Old Reliable. Astral Beam!
As the beam entered the water, the blast seemed to dissipate, fading into nothing.
Damn it. There must be some kind of enchantment on this. Looks like spells can't be cast from the outside, which means... God, for a second I forgot this was a test. It's not going to be that easy, is it? All right.
Nova gulped and shoved her hand into the water, firing a second beam from inside. Nova felt herself immediately pulled into the sphere itself as the blast struck the lever, which flipped it into a different position. Nova suddenly found herself surrounded by dozens of jellyfish. She ducked away from the first few as they floated towards her, and noticed something peculiar. The jellyfish weren't just glowing from their color, but from small sparks of electricity coursing through their bodies. Nova swam as hard as she could back towards the air, deftly avoiding shocks as she forced her way out of the sphere. Nova gasped for air as she regained her footing, water dripping off her sorcerer uniform.
Wow. Okay. One down.
As she looked at the sphere, she noticed that the jellyfish had gathered around where she once was, and then slowly swam away.
I know that the darkness one looks more ominous. But also, I know that shark is gonna try to attack me, and I don't want to fight a shark. But I think I have to fight a shark.
She tentatively walked over to the shark, catching the beast's attention as it began to swim circles closer to her.
Okay, here goes.
She once again placed her hand inside the sphere and fired off another astral beam.
Astral beam!
Striking the lever into position, but also once again pulling her 5 feet into the sphere. The shark's glassy dark eyes locked on her. It lunged quickly at Nova, who just barely dodged out of the way of its razor-sharp teeth and snapping jaws. Nova's mind raced on what to do next. Her arms began scrambling as she kicked backwards towards the air behind her. As the shark began to turn back towards her, she quickly fired an astral beam.
Astral beam!
Helping propel her out of the water, landing her with a thud on the ground. She caught her breath as the shark turned and swam away from her.
Oh, Ren is never gonna believe that I fought a shark.
Nova fixed her eyes on the third and final sphere, unaware of what could be lurking in the darkness.
Nova, you can do this. It's scarier than a shark, somehow. But you came out of that unscathed, so... yeah!
Nova approached the slanted wall next to the sphere, preparing to run up the wall and jump into the water. But as she placed her foot on the wall, after a short sprint, her wet boot found no purchase on the stone, and she fell to the ground, landing face first.
Ow! Oh, I'm really glad nobody saw that.
Back in the observation room. Ouch. Ooh, that's going to hurt for a while.
Okay. So if the lever is in the same place as the other ones, I should be able to shoot it as soon as I jump in. Which I'll definitely be able to do this time. Yeah, okay.
Nova attempted to jump again and managed to place her arm in the water, pulling her in all the way. Nova found herself once again in water, but also in complete darkness. Only the sound of water swirling around her. Even with her eyes open, she couldn't see a single thing.
Girl, cast light. I want to see something.
Okay. Light.
Nova snapped her fingers and a small light appeared in front of her, and for a moment lit up the darkness. But as quickly as it appeared, it vanished.
I thought so. Carry on.
What does that mean? Are you going to share with me?
This is your test. That would be cheating.
Hey, you need to... Oh, you're right. I hate it when you're right.
Nova began swimming as best she could in the direction where she assumed the lever could be found. a slight panic building in her mind as she began to run out of air. As she reached the wall, she felt the stone in the darkness, finding nothing. As she began to swim out, passing the center of the sphere itself, her arm grazed an object in the darkness.
Ah! Wait!
She quickly grabbed hold of it, realizing it was in fact the lever. As she pulled it down, she was barely able to hear the sound of the stone door sliding open. Her mind was beginning to haze as she started to struggle for air. She managed to find her way to the bottom of the sphere, falling straight down towards the ground, feet first. The distance caught her by surprise. Nova, unprepared to catch herself, falling hard to the stone floor.
Oof. Oh, that was less exciting. Or maybe more exciting, but not in a fun way.
Nova looked in front of her to see the stone door open with another hallway beyond.
Oh, sure, why not? Why not do another one? I am super ready for another one of these challenges. Yeah.
As she stood up and entered the room, she was greeted by yet another stone door, but this time with an intricate carving of a spider on it.
Oh, no. I never thought it'd be sharks and then spiders.
Nova walked up to the door and said,
Door, please give me some wisdom that doesn't have to deal with spiders. I know it's going to, but please, don't.
Tread lightly on my web of stone, lest you find you are not alone.
Oh, okay, I'm gonna do it, okay.
Nova began feeling around the carving to find the switch, realizing it was the head of the spider.
Oh, come on, I'm not gonna touch that.
Nova quickly reached into her Dungeoneer's pack and grabbed her hammer, pressing the button with it. The stone door slid open to reveal another curved room. Each surface overlaid with a masterfully wrought stone web. A door visible on the other side of the room. The stone web looked thin but strong, stretched across the room, the dungeon floor just underneath. As Nova inspected the room, her eyes followed the wall up to see a giant spider statue crafted out of volcanic glass.
Well, that is incredible. And horrifying. Whew. Okay. Tread lightly on my web of stone, lest you find you are not alone. I don't like that.
Nova kept repeating the words to herself as she inspected the web at her feet.
Tread lightly on my web of stone, lest you find you are not alone. Tread lightly on my web of stone, lest you find you are not alone. Okay, well, it's on my web of stone, so I think I have to walk on it. And I really hope that I'm graceful.
Nova very gingerly placed her foot on the web, eyes locked on the spider. As she placed more weight on the webbing, she began to slowly walk across the stone strands towards the closed door on the other side of the room.
Whew, don't let that giant spider deter you. You just gotta get to the door.
She shifted her focus between walking over the gaps beneath her while glancing at the spider, still inanimate. She managed to cross halfway into the room until Nova's foot slipped from the web and touched the floor beneath. She immediately stood still, her eyes shot up at the spider, but found that it was still unmoving.
Okay, Nova, you just gotta slow down. Okay, let's keep...
As Nova tried to lift her foot from the ground, however, she found it had become thoroughly stuck.
Oh no.
Nova could hear the distinct sound of stones scraping over her, and she winced and looked at the spider to see a purple glow appearing in its eyes. It began to climb down the wall towards her, while Nova, hammer in hand, began to pry at her foot, but she couldn't find the strength to free herself. The spider approached with an almost menacingly slow but steady pace.
Okay. Yeah.
In a panic, she took her foot out of the shoe, leaving it behind as she scrambled along the web. As she got closer to the door, she could see it slowly beginning to slide open. But upon realizing that, she lost focus of her footing and she slipped through the web once again, this time landing on the other shoe.
Oh, not again. Oh, I really wish I wasn't wearing my winter boots right now.
She quickly slid her other foot out of the shoe, realizing she was only 20 feet from the door. But the spider had gained on her, its stone fangs lunging down at her. Nova was able to quickly duck out of the way, noticing a crystalline spray being emitted from its mouth. She disengaged from the construct and began to run towards the door. As she got to the lip of the door, she lost her footing, slipping down to the floor below. She turned back to see the nightmarish obsidian spider climb closer and closer, her heart pounding as it attempted to bite her once again.
Oh no. Okay, I've got to use that technique.
You've never used it before. If you mess this up, you could end up right back where you started.
I've got no other choice.
Nova looked at the open door, seeing into what appeared to be another hallway.
Okay, it's now or never. How does Arian do this?
She closed her eyes tightly, snapped her fingers, and yelled,
Misty Step!
The stone spider brought its teeth down on Nova, its sharp fangs moments from piercing her. But when it would have struck, Nova dissipated into a mist, coalescing on the other side of the spider, diagonally from where she was stuck, leaving her sock in place, stuck to the ground. She quickly scrambled through the door.
Interesting.
I told you I could do it.
The spider continued moving towards the door, but as it reached the threshold, it began to climb up the wall, heading upwards as it revealed a ruby hourglass on its abdomen.
Oh, that was almost really bad. That was almost really bad. But we are conquering fears today. Ooh.
As she turned to continue down the hall, she immediately stepped on a small rock on the floor.
Ow! Oh, I miss my shoes.
She continued walking until she found a stone door, which opened upon her approach. She stepped into what appeared to be another large room, with 2 closed doors next to her and a gentle fountain in the center of the room.
Ren, Briar, I hope you're both okay.
Nova sat down, hopeful that her friends would step through those doors, but fearful that she would have to complete this dungeon alone. Episode 14, Nova's Trial. Nova is voiced by Claire Clausen. The voice of the dungeon by Brandon Meeks. The Lady in Darkness by Tamara Deering. Mendel by Zachary Burrell. This dungeon was created and run in a live session by Brandon Meeks. To watch, check out our Patreon. Special thanks to Wizards of the Coast. If you enjoy the show, please leave us a review on your preferred platform. Check out our Patreon for early access, filler episodes, behind-the-scenes clips, and other bonus content. Link in the show notes. Thank you for listening.
Next time on Warlock, the students all race to the end of the dungeon crawl, but the hardest foes are yet to come. Will they all make it out before time is up? Episode 15, Survival of the Fittest. Next time on Warlock.